What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. So listen, y'all. Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. Let's look at what we are. People are saying right now that Errol Spence is running, he's ducking, and they always play that old video where Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence is face to face, and Errol Spence has the red hoodie on, and he's saying, why? Okay, he's saying, Sean Porter got a belt too. He's saying, why? So why not take the easy road and go knock him out, then fight you or whatever, right? They keep showing that video. We all know what Errol Spence said. It's nothing. That video is years old now. We already know about that. So every time somebody plays that video to back up and support their claim that he's ducking Terrence Crawford, right? We know about this already. It's redundant and it's just not necessary. But now let's look at some things that people have known but seem to forget. Errol Spence was calling out everybody. Nobody, remember, everybody was, oh, he's the boogeyman. Nobody wants to fight Errol Spence. Remember, oh, Errol Spence was that guy. And I remember saying, once you get to a point where you become the cash cow, or you're that guy, you know what happens? The same people that was cheering for you start to boo you, simply because you've grown, and then you start to understand things. You start to realize that it's about leverage and power. It's more than just the physicality in the ring that people don't understand from the outside looking in. And they think that they know because they listen to videos and hear people talking, but it's a lot more that goes on than people really understand. And just like that, remember Keith Thurman? He hasn't, go get a belt, then come talk to me. He ain't done enough yet. He went and got the IBF title. Nothing happened. Okay, nothing. No Keith Thurman. Well, here's the thing, right? When he beat Kell Brook, people said, oh man, he beat a damaged Kell Brook. Wait. He beat a damaged Kell Brook. But at the same time, years later, you guys thought that Kell Brook had a chance to beat Terrence Crawford. If he was a damaged fighter years ago, why would you think he could beat Terrence Crawford now? See, that makes no sense. Okay? But think about it. Terrence Crawford, when he comes up to 147, now I watch Errol Spence say the same thing to him. Go get a belt. Right? Remember when Floyd was here? Remember how Keith Thurman was calling out Floyd? He was trying to get that attention so bad. And as far as I'm concerned, Floyd would have beat him just like he beat everybody else. And he would have made it look easy doing it. Keith Thurman didn't bring anything to the table that Floyd has never seen and couldn't deal with. Floyd, he couldn't even beat Manny Pacquiao. So, just seriously. All right, but think about this. Nobody wanted to fight Errol Spence. They don't want that smoke. That's all I was hearing. And I'm like, one day they're going to be saying the opposite. And that's what happens. If you look at their resumes at 147, okay, there's nobody on Terrence Crawford's resume that says he did anything. Beating that guy that they robbed Pacquiao in the Pacquiao fight against, I forget his name, but okay, he went and got a title from an easy. It was a soft touch. Okay. Remember, Errol Spence. Okay, and this is crazy to me. Think about this. Errol Spence was out of commission for a year, man. Okay? A whole year. So what in the fuck was Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter and all these guys doing while he wasn't there? Keith Thurman beat Sean Porter. He beat Danny Garcia. Guess what? Errol Spence beat Sean Porter and beat Danny Garcia. Who has Terrence Crawford beat? That we even care about. Okay? Terrence Crawford could have called out a Danny Garcia. Okay? Woo! Kazone tight. He could have called out Keith Thurman. Remember what happened. Okay? Keith Thurman said, send the contract. What did Bomac say? And what did Terrence Crawford say? They want a champion. What did they say? Keith Thurman ain't got no belt. Who the hell is a Keith Thurman? He ain't got no belt. Remember when Bomac said that? Terrence Crawford said the same thing. And I said, okay, well, if that's the case, right, then we need to see Terrence Crawford fight another champion. And what did he do? No, he ruled everything out, and he chose Kell Brook. Kell Brook wasn't the only fight on the table. He chose Kell Brook. And Kell Brook was a broken fighter. My question was, I saw Kell Brook's 3 fights prior to the Terrence Crawford fight, and I wasn't impressed at all. And I said, man, Kell Brook doesn't look the same to me. He looks like a shot fighter. Sometimes guys fight to the level of their competition. I don't know, and I'm watching him, and it's like I just wasn't impressed. I couldn't see him beating Terrence Crawford, man. And I said, my question was, what does he have left in the tank? You know, he's talking confident. He looks like he's in shape, like he always is, and all that. But what does he have left? Because I just didn't feel like his chances were good, and we saw what happened. So it's not about burying Terrence Crawford. No, here's the thing: you fought a shot fighter. We're gonna sit here and pretend that Kell Brook was better than what he was. I mean, you stopped him with a fucking jab. You know, people was worried about can Errol Spence face hold up? No, look, Errol Spence face held up just fine, but Kell Brooks didn't. Now, let's say instead of that, he would have fought Sean Porter, or they'd have sent the contract over to Keith Thurman and fought Keith Thurman. You said you didn't want to fight him because he didn't have a belt. Well, neither did Kell Brook. So let's not make it like now, oh, I just call the shots. I say we fight and we fight. Do I want to see Spence and Crawford? Hell yeah, I want to see that fight. And if Errol Spence is making excuses to not fight him, I don't see either one of those guys being afraid of the other. You know, if anything, is more of an ego thing. Motherfucker, you need me, I don't need you. And realistically, for them to say, for people, I've heard people say things like, Terrence Crawford, he deserves 50-50 because he's as big a star as Errol Spence. That is bullshit. He's no, hell no. He's no. They had 50,000 or almost 47,000 at Dallas Stadium. Name the first time Terrence Crawford put 47,000 people in any. He might have put 4,000 or 7,000 people in a crowd. Not no. Are you serious? Okay. He fought Mikey Garcia, and they both had fans come out. Bottom line, let's not even start this star power shit with, oh, but he doesn't know. You guys are killing me with this. Like, you have a unified champion versus a guy with 1 belt, and all of a sudden, that guy with the 1 belt deserves 50-50 because you think he's a better fighter? Look, here's my thing. When 2 guys want to fight bad enough, they'll make it happen. Anthony Joshua said he don't even care about the money. He said him and Fury just split it 50-50. And you want to know? That's generous of him to do because he's the 2-time unified champion. Now, Tyson Fury's undefeated and has 1 belt, but at the same time, he's not the unified champion. Okay, and this is the first time that Tyson Fury's actually defended his title because he got the title, he lost. He lost the title. He got stripped, disappeared, came back, won the title. And he finally defended his title once. Okay? Against the same guy. But regardless, if Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, if they can make this fight happen, it's not going to be one of those things. I don't think it's going to be 50-50 as far as the split. I believe Errol Spence is going to want more. You can't look at Errol Spence and say, oh man, if he really wanted to fight, make it 50-50. For that matter, you can say, you know what, fuck it. If that's the case, Terrence, you 60-40. Just take the fight. Y'all gonna probably have a rematch anyway. More than, if anything, it's probably gonna be a rematch. You know, 2 champions. Yeah, it'll be a rematch clause. So take 60-40 or whatever the split is. Next time you beat him, then next time you call the shots. Same things. You can't just look at Errol Spence and say, oh, Errol is, you know, Errol Spence definitely did say, why not take the easier fight? He definitely said that. But at the same time, you know, you gotta look at Terrence Crawford pretty much did the same exact thing. Because he could have fought somebody more credible than Kell Brook. Kell Brook is popular with he has the whole UK behind him. You know, he has I can't say what his fan how big of a fan base he has over here in the States, but you know, what he's done, he had a good career, but he's nothing close to what he used to be. If you know if this was a prime Kell Brook, it's a completely different fight altogether. You understand what I'm saying? But that's not the version of him that Terrence Crawford fought. So he could have fought a better opponent than Kell Brook. So to sit back and say, oh, look, when Errol beat Mikey Garcia, Mikey stepped up. None of them other guys stepped up. He ain't done nothing yet. Oh, he ain't proved nothing. Then when he beat Mikey Garcia, and here's the crazy thing, after all those guys that was hating on Errol Spence, wanted Errol Spence to lose, was saying Mikey was gonna beat him. Then after he beat Mikey, oh, but Mikey's not a real welterweight. He moved up from lightweight. Bruh, what is it? You know? So, and the point of this video is not to shoot down Terrence Crawford and like I'm taking sides for Errol Spence. I like both of them as fighters. I'm looking at what's in front of us. This is just the reality of how shit was going. Look, he beat Mikey. They made excuses and say he beat a damaged Kell Brook. But yet Terrence Crawford fights him years later. So, you know, to have Kell Brook on his resume, and Kell Brook was still good. You know what I mean? As far as him being able to take the shots, that might be something different. But it was the other orbital bone. It was the other one. But regardless, the point is he's getting cracked in his face. He was outboxing Errol Spence for a little bit. Errol Spence did what he does, start walking him down, start breaking him down, and hey, the outcome is the outcome. That's a fight. There's no rule that says you have to win every single round. It is what it is. It was a great fight. You can't compare Terrence Crawford's resume in the welterweight division with Errol Spence. You can't. You can't do it. What the hell Keith Thurman is doing right these days, I have no idea. Okay, but Terrence Crawford took advantage of fighting 2 weak touches. He has a belt, but now basically for him to say he wants Errol Spence, when Errol Spence wasn't here, Terrence Crawford could have been, I'm going to make a statement. Now the same way these guys didn't want to fight Terrence Crawford, right? They was, oh, he ain't done nothing in this division. See, all of them do this dumb shit. This is my point. Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, all of them, he ain't did nothing in this division. You know, he did what he did at 140, 147. This is odd division. He coming up in odd division. He ain't did nothing. Okay. But like I said, when he got his belt and when he fought, you know, come on, Kell Brook and these weak touches, man, that's on him. That's on him. So when Keith Thurman was saying send the contract, forget all the talking, send the contract. He didn't want to fight Keith because Keith don't have a belt, but neither did Kell Brook. But are you guys looking at that saying, no, that's true? He put his foot in his mouth. So you can't. You guys are bringing up something that Errol Spence said some years ago. We all saw that video. We're looking at what was done recently, and now I hear a lot of ego between the two of them, and I'm looking at it like Errol Spence is more on some ego type shit. Like, yo, man, you need me, I don't need you. You need me. You understand what I'm saying? And also, you know, calling somebody out and sending a contract is two different things. Okay? That's two different things. Like I said, I don't see either one of those guys being scared of the other. But at the same time, because I saw something, I read something, and I heard something about Errol Spence, about the promotion. They want the fight. You know, it's Errol Spence. He doesn't want the fight. And they're translating that to he's scared, he's ducking, he's running. And I'm not so quick to just go, I don't see Errol Spence as a chicken shit fighter. I don't see Terrence Crawford as a chicken shit fighter. But they both have made moves where they chose other people. You understand what I'm saying? But then you got to look. And you got to understand, Errol was calling out everybody. Everybody. And they were all, oh man, he ain't did nothing yet. So, him and Keith beat the same people. What's up with Keith? We don't know, but Terrence Crawford he could afford him. He got beat by Pacquiao, right? Now you wanted Pacquiao so bad, right? Wouldn't it make more sense for Terrence Crawford to go in there and destroy Keith Thurman? And then people say, damn, he beat him worse than Pacquiao did. So now you wanted that Pacquiao fight. Mind you, let's not forget, he called out Pacquiao as well. Terrence Crawford called out Pacquiao. Errol Spence called out Pacquiao. So let's not forget that. What a better way. That's the kind of shit Pacquiao used to do. Floyd fight somebody, then Pacquiao fight him a year later. And, oh, he beat him worse than Floyd did. Okay. You're trying to make a statement, right? And a lot of people was always saying that he beat him worse than Floyd. But then when the two of them fought, we saw who won. So it's like, yeah, okay, why not go after Keith Thurman? Don't worry about somebody saying, you can't say, I'm worried about somebody saying, yo, you fought a motherfucker that's just coming off of a loss. Kell Brook won 3 fights against guys who wasn't worthy opponents. They was not even credible guys. I guess it was just to keep busy, put some money in his pocket or whatever, whatever, staying active. But Kell Brook, nobody was hyped up for that fight. Literally, nobody was talking about the fight. They were only doing reports on the fight was possibly going to be made. But nobody was like, yo, this is a great fight. Yo, nobody, zero. That fight was like, it was a wet firecracker. It was a soaking wet firecracker. Nobody cared about that fight. So when you look at who could have fought who and why all that, none of that's going to make the fight happen. Okay? So all that, this guy said this and that guy said, and this one is ducking, and he don't want him because this and all this bullshit. At one point, nobody wanted to fight Errol Spence. At one point, nobody wanted to fight Terrence Crawford. At one point, Errol Spence was running from Crawford. At one point, Crawford was running from Spence. This is all this soap opera dramatic bullshit that I don't care about. I'm just putting light on the situation of things that actually happened on both parties. Because all I'm hearing is a bunch of, Errol don't want to fight. Oh, this happened, that happened. Oh, this guy want this guy. This guy want that guy. I mean, we heard all of this today. I saw some posts saying that the Ryan Garcia-Manny Pacquiao fight is off. And I'm saying it should be off. It shouldn't have been on in the first place. You got 2 guys in 2 different weight classes. It's an exhibition. Ryan Garcia, yet you're the mandatory for Devin Haney, and you're going to put that aside to go fight old man Pacquiao. For what? And I mean, for what? And an exhibition on top of that? So we went from hearing the fight was on, it was an exhibition, to it's not an exhibition, it's an actual fight, to no, the fight's off. And I don't know if it's true or not. So I'm going to sit back on that one. I'm not going to dig into it because I don't know if it's true. But I mean, it's what I'm saying. It's like, it's always a bunch of uncertainties. Nothing's guaranteed. Until the ink is dry, we don't know. Like right now, we're hearing about the contract exchange between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. At least there's progress being made. At least there's effort being made. You saying, I want to fight this guy is not the same as sending a fucking contract. You can put it, you know how you put somebody on the spot? They claim they open for the fight. You and your team, boom. Yo, we sending a contract. Make it known to the public. You don't have to try to, yo, I'm just letting y'all know. No, just, oh, we sent the contract, yada, yada, yada. Discuss the details. That's private shit. We find out what's going on. We see, but nothing's private in boxing. Almost every fucking fight, all you hear about is how much this guy's going to get and how much that guy's going to get. You don't hear too many talks about it nowadays because of COVID and all that. But it's at the same, we don't really, for me, it's like, it's a job. You need to be compensated properly. Most definitely. But understand, these fighters are saying they want to fight certain guys. 1 week, Andre and Billy Joe Saunders, they're fighting each other. Make the fight happen. Send the contract. I want this fight. Next week, Billy Joe Saunders is fighting Canelo. I like, what? 1 minute, yo, Canelo says he wants Charlo next. Charlo says he's down for the fight. He been wanted to fight. Next week, Charlo says he'll knock out Benavidez. Benavidez says he's going to knock him out. Oh, we're going to... Bro, come on. Anybody can sit here and say, I want to fight him, I want to fight him. See, and you know what? The fact that Errol Spence showed no interest in fighting Terrence Crawford right away, you know what Terrence Crawford should have did? Exactly what I just said. Got his team together. No, fuck that. Let's send a contract over to this motherfucker. Let's let him, fuck keeping it private. Let's let him tell the fucking world why he don't want this fight. Let's let him tell his fans and tell the rest of the boxing world why he don't want this fight. That's what Terrence Crawford should have did. Think about it, right? You don't always think about, you know, these things when something happens at the heat of the moment. But if he'd have did that, imagine Errol Spence trying to explain to people why he don't want the fight. You understand what I'm saying? So that whole year and a half, whatever it was that Errol Spence was in boxing, you know, fighters only fight once or twice a fucking year, man. As it is, you know, they don't fight often. But when you break it down and look at who did what, Terrence Crawford's name wasn't even coming up as far as who's fighting who. Like who did what in what fight. But as far as the fights we wanted to see, yeah, he dominated at 140. But at 147, no. He hasn't. He has nobody's name on his resume at 147 that we even care about. You understand what I'm saying? And beating a past his prime damaged goods Kell Brook, yes, man. You know, Sean Porter, he lost to Kell Brook when Kell Brook was on top of his game. Okay? So even losing to Kell Brook, it was a great fight. But even losing to Kell Brook, right? Understand this. There was no, I have, damaged orbital bones. I have all this wear and tear in my body. I'm from all these wars. Terrence Crawford has been in the ring for a while himself. So he has wear and tear as well, okay? Terrence Crawford is a solid fighter. He has no reason to be fearful of any of those guys. The same with Errol Spence and Sean Paul, all of them. See, all this fear. This comes from the fans. Okay? I think that a lot of time, there's plenty of, I'm sure there's fighters who have fear of other fighters. But I mean, we talking about elite level guys who want to elevate their game. Say everybody, oh man, he's scared to let his old go. You guys are putting it all on Errol Spence. But you got to understand, it's just like, for example, remember when Dillian White, when Eddie Hearn sent the contract to him, and he said Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua playing games with me, they full of shit. Remember, he chose to go a different route. So, Dillian White fucked his chance up. He could either win, lose, or draw, whatever was going to happen, it would have happened already. You understand what I'm saying? But he's going through all this shit now. He chose to go fight somebody else. The offer was there. Eddie Hearn, AJ, sent the offer to Luis King Kong Ortiz. But he chose to go fight Deontay Wilder. Somehow that translated into, oh man, AJ ducking Luis Ortiz. How is he fucking ducking him when they sent the offer? How? See, is what I said. People get their shit mixed up and they forget what actually happened. So right now, if you're looking at what's going on between these two guys, I think it's more of an ego leverage thing. And like I said, I believe it's more of a thing where Errol Spence is like, man, I don't need you, you need me. Okay? Terrence Crawford talks a lot of shit too. He talks like he has no problem. He think he could beat all these guys. They did nothing to him. Errol Spence just feel like, let's get in there and just, hey, let's go, right? But now I hear the two of them coming. And you got the fans speaking for both of them about what they think. And like I said, people playing old videos. But at the same time, that video, like I said, it doesn't change shit. But when they was calling these guys out, they didn't want to fight him. But like I said, everybody has their day where you're getting cheered, then you're getting booed by a lot of the same people. So that's what that is right now. And if you break down their careers at 147, like I said, there's no comparison, man. And if anybody has something to prove at 147, the weight of that is on Terrence Crawford's shoulders because he's yet to beat any of the top welterweights. Kell Brook was no longer a top welterweight. Stop it. He was not. Okay, I don't want to see him fight damn Amir Khan. I don't want to see these guys fighting Manny Pacquiao. I don't care. We saw what Manny Pacquiao did to Keith Thurman, right? So we know that if he's that same fighter right now, still, we know he can get in there and pretty much put a performance on against any of those guys. Now, I still think Errol Spence beats Pacquiao. I know people are going, no, man, he's too fast. And Pacquiao says, oh, Errol Spence is too slow. And his response was, no, tell him we don't care about none of that. Let's make the fight. Errol Spence wants to collect belts. That's where his mind is right now as well. He wants to collect belts. Well, Terrence Crawford has a belt. So I'm not at all saying he shouldn't. No, I want to see the fight. Yeah, I want to see that fight. Go take his belt if you can, right? So now look at what happened. Pacquiao gets stripped, right? Pacquiao gets stripped. And they give it to pause. Yeah, so he gets stripped of his title. Ugas is now handed the title. He didn't have to fight anybody. Listen. He didn't have to fight anybody for it. He was awarded the title. Here you go. Now, what if they would have said, okay, Pacquiao is stripped. He's no longer the champ because he's not defending the title, or he had a deadline where he was supposed to fight and he didn't, or whatever it may be, or he wants to go through this Ryan Garcia nonsense or whatever. Whatever. Let's say if they would have said, okay, we're going to take the top two guys in this division and they're going to fight for it. No. Ugas, just listen. Ugas is a good fighter. In fact, remember when he fought Sean Porter? Many people, if not most, felt like he won that fight against Sean Porter, right? We know that he's a credible fighter. So you are a champion without having to fight for it. Okay? So now they're talking unification between him and Spence. And this is speculation. I don't know if this is actually going to happen, but look, I would rather see Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. But Ugas is a credible opponent. Let's not act like he's not. Okay? If Ugas fights Kell Brook right now, do you think Kell Brook wins? The guy, I can't remember his name, that they robbed Pacquiao with, right? When they went and fought in that guy's country and they robbed Pacquiao, and then Terrence Crawford came and beat that guy. Do you think that guy beats Ugas? No. And those are the two fights that he's had at 147 that we're supposed to even care about. And this is not to shoot Terrence Crawford down. This is what I'm saying. His opponents, let's be real. He has not had that fight yet. We know Terrence Crawford got all the skills in the world. So it's not like, oh, you have to prove. No, he has a belt. He's ready. Even without a belt, I fight Terrence Crawford is a credible opponent to fight any of those guys in 147. But and Ugas is a credible opponent that would handle the title, who is getting a full training camp. It's not going to be no, you short notice thing. No. So if this is a unification fight, it's going to be a unification fight because he has a title, and Errol already is unified. Now, think about this. He beats Ugas and gets that title. That's going to be 3 belts compared to Terrence Crawford's 1. And you really think Terrence, even right now, to have 2 belts to his 1, and to be able to put more asses in seats than Terrence Crawford, do you really believe, and do y'all not understand, when you don't have a big name, networks don't even want to cover your fights. Especially if it's like a pay-per-view situation and your opponent, they don't feel as credible. They're like, man, we're not wasting money investing into this fight. You know, if this man has 3 belts versus Terrence Crawford's 1. Right now, he has the leverage. But with 3, can you imagine now 2 Terrence Crawford and they're talking about 50-50? We don't look. The hold up for this fight, for whatever reason the fight's not happening, I'm not really concerned on harping on it and just keep making videos about, this one said and that one said. But what we need to understand is, okay, if your skill set, if you really believe in your skill set, like the words coming out of your mouth make it sound, like I said earlier, you take the pay cut, man. Beat that ass. Now, next time y'all fight, guess what? The ball is in your court. because and while and listen, let me tell you something. A job is a job. And for you to work for something, to work so hard to get to a certain point, just to have somebody come and try to dictate how much you're going to make or not going to make. Like I've said in other videos, imagine you working at your job. You've done everything, or you've done so much. You've done as much as everybody else that's in your circle, right? In your department, right? And here comes somebody comes from a different department, or comes and never did the work before, and then all of a sudden they're making the same money you're making. They have the same leverage you, and it's like, wait, hold up, wait. I done put all this work in just to have somebody come. I don't care what you did in that department, but yeah, you coming up here, and now all of a sudden you're gonna give this person, okay, give them person that pay raise or whatever, but bump me up. You understand? So if you're gonna pay him $25 for just coming in here, and it took me years to get here, you need to bump me up to about 28, 30. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not denying this man his money, but you need to pay me more. You guys got to understand that. This is a job. It's not just like, oh, I want to see him and him fight. Okay, who they say they want to see me fight? All right, I'm going to fight him. That's not how it works. You know, and yeah, that's the fight I want to see at 147. There's not a bigger fight in this. There's not a bigger fight in the division. That's one of the biggest fights right now in boxing, period. Yeah, we want to see that fight. I'm just explaining, you got to look at the things that both sides have done and said and how we got to the point where we're at now. I'm pretty sure there's more details that I know nothing of, you know nothing of, and other people out there don't know anything of. So just all of this picking sides and saying who's ducking who and who's doing what, that's not going to make the fight happen. But both guys, yes, Errol Spence said, why not fight Sean Porter and take the easier fight? And by no means was it an easy fight, because Errol Spence tend to fight guys the wrong way. He liked to make the fight harder than it need to be. He said that's boring to him to just outbox a guy. Then he says the way Sean Porter fight, even if he wanted to box and then that basically shows a lack of a strong mentality, boxing IQ, which Errol Spence is a great fighter. He does have a better IQ than people give him credit for. He can box. But if you're saying you couldn't keep fight showing the way the boxing move, like even if you wanted to because of his pressure, what you got to understand, man, okay, I think is more of him probably worried about getting booed by the crowd, or them saying, oh, he ran. Nobody's saying you got to run. You don't have to run. But there's things that you can do, many things that you can do that can nullify all that running in. You know how Sean Porter rushes in and he gets so close, he smothers his own shots. Sean, and let me say this, Sean Porter's a good fighter. I hate watching Sean Porter fight, though. Man, that dude smothers his shots. He wrestles all the time. It's like every time he rushes in and they're grabbing. Rush in, they're grabbing. Rush in, it's like, man, fuck, just fight. Stop all the fucking hugging, man. Like, I hate his fights, man. And they like, his opponents, no. Sean puts himself in a position to get grabbed. Because he rushes in, he throws his shots, and he smothers himself. And when he gets inside, he gets so close that it's too much bumping and wrestling going on. But it's shit you can do to nullify all that bullshit. And if for Errol Spence to say he couldn't fight him different if he wanted to, that means he doesn't know how to. You see what I'm saying? And in that sense, it's like, well, when you fight these guys that like to come in like that, you got to understand, you have to adjust and adapt to your opponents. Errol Spence likes to stand there and fucking bang when he doesn't need to. You can still crack a motherfucker, but you don't have to stand up there and fight the same fight every time you go in the ring. And that's the kind of guy that gets figured out. So I think it's an interesting fight between him and Terrence Crawford. And you know what? At this point, I don't even give a shit. It ain't about who I think would win. I don't even care about who would win or whether. It's just the point of making the fight happen. And both guys, they're pointing fingers and saying things. But like I said, you can go up here right now, and you have channel after channel saying that Terrence Crawford is ducking Errol Spence. Now he's ducking Terrence Crawford. This guy ducked this guy. This guy ducked this guy. I don't care about all this duck season talk. I just know that at the end of the day, what's important is that the fight happens. And if and when it does happen, hopefully it's for undisputed. And, you know, that's the main fight I want to see at 147. And I'm guaranteeing you, no matter who wins, that's when Keith Thurman is going to decide to come out of hiding and decide, yo, he want to come out. And I don't think he jumps right in the ring right away. I think he come back. He probably fights a soft touch. You know, tries to look his best. You know, try to look as good as he possibly can, and go forward from there. Think about this, right? You lost to Manny Pacquiao, and you basically said you're staying at 147. That's your weight class. Ryan Garcia, for whatever reason, was willing to have an exhibition with this man, a guy who's much smaller, fights, at lightweight, and he was going to fight him. And here's my thing, right? Regardless to how he looks against Pacquiao, you know, if the fight's off or not, I don't know. I'm not even interested in that fight. But the thing is, after one loss, you disappear, right? Imagine Keith Thurman coming back demanding that he gets a title shot. Like, bro, you ain't been doing nothing all this time, and now you come back and be the soft touch, and now you demanding that you fight. You know, the only interest that'll be there is what? Because he's the one guy that that Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence hasn't fought yet. But nobody forgets that he lost to Manny Pacquiao. So that fight is not going to be as interesting. Do you understand what I'm saying? The fact that you lost to a guy you called an old man, called a rabbit and all that, and say, ain't no way you going to beat me with that style, and then you lost. So trust me, you lost to Pacquiao. People can talk all the shit they want about Pacquiao can beat Terrence Crawford, he can beat Errol Spence or whatever. I guarantee you, especially if they have a fight and it's a great fight, regardless, the winner of that fight, it will, like I said, it will still be some kind of interest there against Keith, and they'll Keith Thurman, he's rejuvenated, he's back, he's got a good rest and all whatever. But because after that, then that puzzle, that piece of that puzzle, if it's Errol Spence, then Errol Spence has beaten Sean, Danny, he's beaten Keith and Terrence. Now Terrence, for him, people still want to see him if he wins against a Keith or against Danny or against Sean, because he hasn't fought them yet. But if Errol wins, then man, he can say I beat all these dudes. Then they can talk all the shit they want, but they beat Mikey. He beat Mikey. They saying, oh, but Mikey wasn't really a real welter. Well, guess what? Mikey Garcia also beat Adrian Broner. Okay, and you know, Sean Porter fought him, and he beat him. So he wasn't a real welterweight, but nobody made that excuse for Adrian Broner when he came up and fought Sean Porter. So see, people, certain fighters they make excuses for, and then certain fighters they want to shoot you down no matter what you do. I just think it's a fight that needs to happen, and we do want to see the fight. But if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. I'm not gonna lose sleep over this shit, But at the end of the day, we want to see Errol Spence, Sean Porter. Terrence Crawford. We want to see that for undisputed. That's what I would like to see, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people will. So we just gotta wait and see what happens. So that's all I'm gonna say on this video. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.